Okay, today we're going to talk about the three most common questions I'm asked about hiring a real estate agent assistant. The first question is, what exactly should I expect my assistant to do, and what should I not expect them to do? Second question is, what hours can they work? A lot of agents work way over 40 hours a week, and they're not sure what they can really expect their assistant to do. And then finally, a question I'm getting more and more often these days is, should I also hire a virtual assistant, or should I just hire a virtual assistant or on-site? So we'll talk about that as well. Let's dig in. Hi, I'm Vanessa. I run a recruiting firm called R.E.A Staffing. We place real estate assistants, directors of operations, office managers, and so on with real estate teams all across the United States. And on this channel, we talk about fostering careers in real estate and growing real estate teams. So if that's a topic that is of interest to you, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you back here soon. All right, so let's talk about question number one. What should my assistant do? So as an agent, your job is to do dollar productive activities, right? The activities that really drive the business. So what is that? That's prospecting, negotiating, following up with clients, staying in touch with past clients. That's your job. In an ideal world, you would spend 100% of your time focused on dollar productive activities. So just step back for a second and think, if you are able to spend all of your time interfacing with clients, closing deals, networking with new clients, how would that impact your business? I'm guessing it would grow substantially. So if you're going to focus on those activities, someone else has to handle everything else, and that's where a real estate assistant comes in. Now, it's very unusual for an assistant to be able to handle all of the non-dollar productive activities, but that's the goal, right? So what does that look like from the assistant's perspective? Where their job is to support you at every stage of the real estate sales cycle. So while you're out prospecting for new deals, they're managing your CRM. When you're preparing for a listing presentation, they're putting together your presentation package, giving you instructions for where to go, making sure you're prepared, and then they're ready to take all of your paperwork back from you when you come back from your listing appointment, and they're ready to start prepping the listing for market. They're going to either do the transaction coordinating work or interface with your transaction coordinator and ensure that there's a good flow of communication between all parties. And then once the deal is closed, they're there to provide follow-up support. And throughout this entire process, they're serving as your executive assistant. So what does an executive assistant do? Well, their job is to free up their boss to focus on the most important tasks and remove distractions. So this means things like reading through their emails and filtering out emails they don't need to see. Handling all incoming phone calls and screening calls, so the boss only has to talk to the people they really need to speak to. It means calendaring, and this is a really big one. If you've never had somebody else manage your calendar, this can be a difficult thing to let go of because it's really personal. But it's also a really powerful thing because I promise you, your assistant will do a better job of protecting your time than you will. So if you're supposed to prospect from 10 to noon, Monday through Friday, and somebody wants to meet with you at 11, you're probably more likely to renegotiate your prospecting time than your assistant, who will be more likely to say, you know, they're busy at that time, how about 1 p.m.? So email, calendar, schedule. Also, they'll be responsible for customer service. So following up with clients, making sure that the communication is flowing. When you're busy with another client, they're there to answer questions and provide support throughout the process. So that's what a real estate assistant does. They're there to back you up so you can focus on your dollar productive activities. And they're involved in every step of the real estate sales cycle as your back office support. So let's talk about some of the things an assistant doesn't usually do. So usually a real estate assistant won't handle personal tasks. They might, but it's not common. So personal tasks like scheduling doctor appointments, buying personal gifts, getting your dry cleaning or getting your car washed. If you do want your assistant to do these things, it's really important that you talk about that up front, because there are some assistants who just don't want that to be part of their job description, and they'll be disappointed, there'll be missed expectations if you spring those tasks on them. The other set of tasks that you shouldn't have your assistant do are lead generation or client follow-up, client lead follow-up. Your job is to sell. You're the salesperson. Your admin has a completely different skill set and motivation, and they're frankly not going to be as good at those tasks as you are, and they're probably not going to enjoy them. So at some point, as your business grows, you might get to the point where you need an inside sales agent, somebody who's fielding incoming calls and setting appointments, but that is not a task that your real estate assistant should do. Those are very different tasks. Okay, so question number 2 is, what hours should I expect my assistant to work? Look, residential real estate isn't going to be 9 to 5. There are very few assistants that I know of who really can clock in at 9 and clock out at 5 or 6. That said, it is not normal or okay for your assistant to be on call 24/7 or to work 6 or 7 days a week. Your assistant needs 2 days off. There might be times when they need to respond to a text or email in the evening, or if you're out of town, they might need to open a door for a showing or handle something on the weekend. Most assistants are working between 40 and 50 hours a week, but it's very important that you make that extra time the exception when things are busy, when you need extra help, and that's not the rule that they're just available all the time. That is a recipe for burnout, and trust me, there are other agents who will happily hire away your assistant and give them better work-life balance. So it's something to really keep an eye on. And speaking of that, that comes to our last topic, which is, should you hire a virtual assistant in addition to an on-site assistant? And my answer to this is absolutely, you should do that as soon as you can. If you haven't already employed a virtual assistant before you hired your on-site assistant. Okay, so you might think, why on earth would I want to hire 2 people? That's just a lot of money and effort and all of that. When you have one assistant, when it's you and one assistant, you are beholden to that assistant on some level. If they want to take a day off, if they're sick, if they decide to quit, you're really in a pickle. When you employ a VA in addition to an on-site assistant, there can be cross-training. You have 2 people who can cover each other when things get really busy. And if your assistant is sick or wants to go on vacation or leaves, you're not at ground zero. You still have somebody backing up and supporting you. And here's the best part about this. You can hire an experienced real estate assistant who lives and works in the Philippines for between $1,000 and $1,600 a month. Now these prices are going up. If you talked to me a year ago, I would have said it was 800 to 1,000, but the demand for experienced real estate assistant VAs is going through the roof. But that's still a really, really good deal. If you could have a second full-time employee for, let's say, $1,500 a month, and that person can do everything that your regular assistant can do, except go out and meet with clients in person or run errands for you or physically organize your office. They can handle a lot of workload. And so it's just a really great way to create some security in your business. I'd almost see it as an insurance policy for your business, so that you and your lead admin aren't stretched too thin. So the other thing to think about when hiring a VA as a second assistant is that your first assistant needs to have really locked in your systems and procedures. The other really important part of what a real estate assistant does is organize your office and create systems and procedures that make it run better. Until you have really good checklists and systems and procedures for every step in that real estate sales cycle, it's really hard to delegate steps to somebody else. So your lead assistant needs to get that locked in, or you need to get that locked in. And then when you hire your virtual assistant, it's really easy to look at a checklist, let's say your listing checklist, and identify which tasks your on-site EA needs to do and which tasks your VA can handle. So I hope that gives you some good food for thought on what a real estate assistant does, what your expectations should be around their hours, and whether or not you should hire a virtual assistant as a backup staff member or supportive staff member. Now, one thing we didn't talk about in this video is salary and what you should pay your assistant. And I'm not mentioning it because I have a whole video on it and a really great resource. I do an annual salary guide for real estate assistants. And I will link to the salary guide below, and I will put the link to the video up here so you can check that out as well. So if you have any questions about hiring an on-site assistant or a virtual assistant, just reach out to me. I'm happy to have a chat with you and talk about the best way for you to create the leverage and support that you need in your business. And by the way, we do place assistants from the Philippines in addition to US based assistants, both on-site and virtual. So if we can help, please reach out. Cheers, and I'll see you on the next video. And don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us a lot. And subscribe if you'd like more content like this. Cheers.